Well, welcome to the ferry port here in Gosport. It's the entrance to our little borough. It's a place that offers promise when you get to the pontoon and when you come out here. If we look over to the right, which we'll see in a moment, there's the new bus station, rather more like a big bus stop, but it functions. But if we look to my left, we'll see what's left of the old bus station, which to this day awaits some sort of definitive plan. I remember talking about this some 10 years ago when its future was in doubt. And we still don't really know the answer. I hope sometime soon we do get an answer, because we need to turn the entrance to our borough into something worth looking at. In a moment we're going to move up to the high street and have a look there. And you can see why the Daily Mail did such a scathing article about what they called, I think, the most depraved borough or high street in Hampshire. Walking into what was the bus station, the old bus station. I drove buses for about 6 years down here, so I know the place pretty well. It did unfortunately become a bit of a hub for vandalism, a place for those souls who've unfortunately found themselves addicted to drugs and alcohol. And was a pretty unpleasant experience for the female drivers to come here late at night. I'm not sure there's any more protections in the new bus station, but we'll worry about that another time. But as you can see, it's a pretty significant space. And our line of thinking is that the welcome to Gosport, or the gateway to Gosport, could make real use of this piece of real estate to produce something really special. Good for the public, somewhere there for them to find entertainment. Who knows, maybe even a viewing platform above with a cafe. And if you've ever been to Old Portsmouth, you'll see the crowds that gather when the warships come in. Could be a real boon to the local businesses, cafes, pubs, etc., that even on a busy market day struggle to get trade. So this is the new bus terminus. I've got to say, it looks quite smart, but it's brand new. The problem we have with this is, or not with the bus station in of itself, it's that Gosport has a wide treasure trove of heritage, of old forts, submarine museum, the diving museum, and the buses that go to those places, and some that don't. So for instance, the diving museum, the 5 between Fareham and Gosport, which goes via Leon the Solent, it's about every 40 minutes, but it does at least land outside the door of the diving museum. There's no bus service to the submarine museum, and the nearest bus service to Explosion leaves you a hefty distance to walk, unless you want to walk around the corner here and get to the Millennium Bridge. Still quite a distance. Right, we're just across the road now from the ferry point at the bottom of what is the high street. It's not doing too badly today. There's a bit of a market further up. But a lot of the problems in this little high street are attention to detail. If you see behind me to my right hand side, there's a plinth with a globe type thing on top of it, or a big glass sphere. And on the other side, there's one that's smashed to pieces. And it's little things like this that show other people about the lack of care and attention. But there'll be more of that in a short while. Brian Thompson, good old friend of mine. Right, you may have just seen the bus coming through, driven very calmly and smoothly by an old friend and colleague of mine. You might also notice that people tend to walk straight across. This was raised by the county councillor for this area, who's also a candidate for the local election. And it just strikes me, it would be really easy to solve, at very little cost, but it was allowed to be built the way it was by people such as the county councillor, who's standing to be the local councillor here in town. Okay, I'm still outside the Travel Lodge, and the reason I'm here is because we have serious concerns about the impending use for the former immigration removal centre in Haslar. Now I appreciate that Haslar isn't in this ward, but the problem is we don't know how many numbers, or the numbers, that the Labour government has insisted each borough takes. On the face of it, if it's less than 500 people, then Haslar will do. But if it isn't, there's only 2 other locations, and this is one of them, the Travelodge, right in the centre of town. Right, well, I'm outside the Haslar Immigration Removal Centre. When I was outside the Travelodge, I mentioned the relevance of this. This centre sits outside of the Harbour and Town ward, but it's now almost certain that it will be used to house illegal migrants. We don't know how many Gosport are being allocated. The Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, said that every district and borough must take their fair share. We don't know what formula is being used to determine what a fair share is, depending on the size of the borough. But what we do know is if it exceeds about 400, then this place will be full. Bearing in mind they will not be detained. This will be an accommodation. They'll be free to come and go as they please. They might be the nicest people in the world, and I'm not going to cast aspersions on that. But the people who live here are not going to be very happy, and I suspect that town will soon enough get their share at places like the Travelodge, and it can't be prevented unless you're prepared to vote for a party that will stand up for you. Due to 2 recent YouTube videos put out by a couple of guys that have a YouTube channel, one was a few months ago when they tried to put a drone over this site at Haslar Immigration and Removal Centre, and they were rather brusquely shown the way out, or the way to go. And they came back recently and they got to talk to one of the builders, and there's no doubt now that this is being reconfigured from a detention centre where people will be locked up prior to being deported to rather being an accommodation, which means they're going to be free to come and go. Well, the election is on Thursday this week coming, and if the people of Harbourside and Town want to see some changes, then I'm asking you to put your faith in me. I've served in this chamber before. I know the rules, I know the ropes. We also know what is and isn't going on in this part of the world. So put your faith in me. We've got Labour, who are nice guy, the candidate, by the way, but they're not doing us any favours with their national policies. We've got the Conservatives, who were in control for a very long time and the high street still crumbled. And Labour, well, you know, they're just not going to be able to do anything. I think you realise what the Liberal Democrats are doing to our town. It needs to be changed. We need to refresh things. We need new ideas. We need more dynamism. So I'm asking you to put your faith in Reform UK, and we'll deliver what we promise.